History of Marine Science through 1 AD to 1600 AD. So to get started, let's fast forward to 900 AD. This is when Norwegian travelers and warriors called Vikings started to travel and colonize Greenland and Iceland. They started discovering new ocean pathways, and the Norwegian people would come to as far as putting the first man on North America. Well, a European man anyway. Leif Erikson, 100 years later, in 102 AD, came to America 500 years before Columbus, the world-famous apparent discoverer of America. He came to what is now modern-day Newfoundland. As the new world is starting to be discovered, the new pathways and maps are being discovered. As Europeans are finding a new liking for discovery, they discover a lost map called Ptolemy's map, and it charts out much of Europe's waters in relation to the rest of the world.
People discovered that the New World is connected in 1519 because of a daring man named Ferdinand Magellan. He set sail and went around the entire world. He became the first person to circumnavigate the globe and complete the journey by showing the world that it was connected. It was roughly 60 years later, in 1578, that an English mathematician, Ed William Bourne, made plans for this first submarine. The surface was being discovered fast, and now people wanted to expand their knowledge of below. We went from just discovering our world to connecting the entire world.
In 900 AD, the first Vikings set sail upon the ocean. They discovered places like Iceland, Greenland, and Denmark upon their voyages. They also reportedly come in contact with many marine animals. However, they kept very low amounts of record of these animals and their encounters with them. In 1002 AD, Leif Erikson makes his first voyage to the Americas almost 500 years before Christopher Columbus. This was very historical because this is the first time that a European or someone of European descent was to come in contact with the Americas. In 1405 AD, Chinese competitors began to explore the Pacific Ocean and get a hold of multiple spoil islands around the coast of China and Japan as well.
The tools used during the expeditions and research from the time period 1 AD to 1600 was the diving bell, which was first invented in 1535 by Guglielmo de Lorena to help recover valuable treasures from sunken Romanian ships. Next was the harbor finding charts, known as portolanios, which had been made in this time period to help with navigation. These charts included a distance scale and hazards and did not provide longitude and latitude. Next, we have the first magnetic compass, which was made in China to help with researchers and explorers to track direction and navigate. And finally, we have the tide table, which was developed by Venerable Bede and Abbot Wallingfield, who added his observations to Bede's calculations in about 1200. These tables documented times of when tides were high. As well as tools, technology was also used during the years of 1 AD to year 1600. First, there was the design of the first submarine. Although not developed yet, the plans of it were in full effect. Next, we have the magnetic compass, which was designed by the Chinese and used by explorers to track direction and navigate through the seas. Next, we have Naval Observatory, which was established to teach cartography, astronomy, and navigation by the Prince Henry, the navigator of Portugal. And lastly, we have the diving bell, which was created to help recover valuable treasures from sunken Romanian ships.
Some facts about marine exploration are: in 1405, the Chinese began sending out fleets of ships to explore and influence those beyond their land. John Cabot in 1497 set sail to North America, thinking he was making it to Asia. However, he landed on the east coast of North America. He went out to sea again in 1498, but it's unknown whether he made it or not. In 1519, Ferdinand Magellan led a fleet of ships to go around the world, but he himself didn't make it the whole way because he was injured by an arrow from natives on an island. The earliest known plans for a fully functioning submarine were drawn up by a man named William Bourne, but they weren't actually invented till many years later, in the 17th century.